Thank you for joining me. I'm going to read number 56 in the RZN Codex, or the Resonance series. This is called the Continuity Codex, The Mechanics of Persistence When Nothing is Held Together by Force, by Jason Gray. 12/21/2025, 6025, Anno Lunis. RZN ARC CNT02, Coherence Transmission Duration Layer, the misdiagnosis of loss. The old world believed continuity was fragile. This belief shaped everything: archives, institutions, inheritance, tradition, education, and law. Continuity was never fragile. Meaning was fragile. Identity was fragile. Authority was fragile. Continuity itself is robust. The error was confusing preservation with persistence. Why preservation always fails. Preservation requires resistance to change. Anything preserved must be frozen, defended, enforced, and protected. This creates tension. Over time, the tension accumulates until collapse. Every preserved system fails for the same reason: it refuses to adapt. Continuity, by contrast, depends on adaptation. Continuity as a dynamic property. Continuity is not a thing. It is a behavioral property of systems that meet three conditions. 1. Redundancy, no single point of failure. 2. Responsiveness, ability to adjust to context. 3. Repairability, capacity to correct distortion. When these conditions exist, continuity emerges automatically. No one has to manage it. Why the overlay required guardians. The overlay lacked internal coherence because it was built on extraction, hierarchy, scarcity, and illusion. It could not self-repair, so it required guardians of tradition, enforcers of narrative, and protectors of orthodoxy. Continuity was policed because it was not alive. The difference between storage and memory. The old world relied on storage. Storage is static. Memory is active. Storage requires maintenance, authority, and interpretation. Memory persists through use. In the returned world, what is not practiced fades, and what is practiced remains. Nothing essential is lost because essential things are used continuously. Procedural memory as the core carrier. The Continuity Codex identifies procedural memory as the primary carrier of civilization, not facts, not texts, not doctrines, but how conflicts are resolved, how children are guided, how resources are shared, how repair is performed, and how truth is spoken. These patterns persist because they work. They do not need to be remembered. They are reenacted. Knowledge without canon. Canon exists when trust is absent. The returned world eliminates canon by distributing knowledge across practice. No single source is definitive. No final version exists. No orthodoxy forms. Instead, understanding converges through interaction, error is corrected through feedback, and truth emerges through use. Continuity survives because distortion cannot centralize. Transmission through overlap. Knowledge persists through overlap, not lineage. Multiple people know overlapping parts. No one knows everything. This creates resilience, adaptability, and error tolerance. If one person leaves, nothing collapses. This is continuity by design, not inheritance. Identity release as a continuity upgrade. Identity once attempted to anchor meaning. This backfired. When people changed, systems fractured. The Continuity Codex replaces identity with role fluidity. Roles are situational, expire naturally, and repair when needed. People remain coherent without being fixed. Continuity improves because nothing depends on static selves. Relationship as the primary carrier. What persists longest is not structure, but relational pattern. Specifically, how people listen, how they disagree, how they repair, and how they care. These patterns cross generations without instruction. Children absorb continuity by being inside it. Culture as a living interface. Culture stops being something to protect. It becomes something to test. If a practice reduces friction, increases coherence, and improves clarity, it survives. If it does not, it fades. There is no nostalgia penalty, no reverence tax. Clean endings as a continuity requirement. One of the most radical shifts: systems are allowed to end. Projects conclude. Institutions dissolve. Roles expire. This prevents decay, corruption, and zombification. Continuity improves when endings are clean. time experienced as resonance, not sequence. Under the overlay, time was fragmented. Past, present, and future felt disconnected. This produced anxiety about loss. In the returned world, time is experienced as resonance. People recognize patterns across eras without needing continuity of form. What matters is not when something happened, but whether it still works. Why nothing essential can disappear. The Continuity Codex makes a quiet but devastating claim. Only things that require force to exist can be lost. Truth persists because it stabilizes systems. Care persists because it reduces suffering. Cooperation persists because it outperforms domination. These things do not need memory, they regenerate. The continuity filter. Every structure in the returned world passes through one filter. Does this self-repair without authority? If yes, it persists. If no, it ends. This replaces tradition, hierarchy, legitimacy, and preservation. Continuity becomes automatic. The end of immortality projects. People no longer seek permanence through name, bloodline, or monument. Why? Because disappearance no longer implies loss. When coherence is distributed, absence is irrelevant. This produces a calm unknown to previous civilizations, the quiet form of immortality. The Continuity Codex does not promise survival. It reveals something more accurate, irrelevance of individual duration. Life continues not because something was saved, but because something keeps working. The law of continuity. Continuity is not what you protect from change. It is what survives because change cannot break it. The returned world does not remember everything. It remembers what matters by doing it again. Nothing essential disappears. Nothing false needs to be preserved. Jason Gray. Okay, thank you so much. That was number 56. I will put the links to everything in the description of where you can find Jason, his work right now. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you.